Hello and welcome to another episode of Real Talk. I'm your host, Tannock Blair, and with me as always is my co-host, Julia Broberg.
Hello.
And this week we're changing up the format in more ways than one. We actually have our first guest ever on the show. That would be Marysa Tuttle.
Hello.
Welcome. The other way we're changing up the format this week is we're actually going to talk about two movies. We're sort of making our own double feature here. Not only talking about a new release, in this case, a Minecraft movie, which we'll be diving into, and later we'll talk about Super Mario Bros., the 1993 film, actually the first Hollywood film to be adapted from a video game franchise, I think. So really like covering the entire spectrum of the history of video game movies from the most recent release to actually the oldest. But before we get into that, let's start with the Minecraft movie, or a Minecraft movie. That's going to keep tripping me up. I don't like how they...
I think I've called it both, like interchangeably. So,
yeah. As always, we'll start with a spoiler-free sort of rating and maybe a brief reason why you're rating it the way you are. And then we'll jump into spoilers and go a little bit deeper. So I think we'll let our guest start first. Marysa, what did you think of the Minecraft movie and what would you rate it?
Okay, so mine is a little biased, my rating, because I love Minecraft. That is like my interest. But I did give it a 3.5.
Okay.
Yeah, because I do have qualms.
All right. I'm excited to get into that. Julia, what did you rate? What would you rate the Minecraft movie?
Mine is a 3-star, and I can't back it up with logic. It's just a feeling. It's just vibes. We're going off vibes, and it's just a feeling that I got when I was in the theater, surrounded by some passionate fans.
Yeah.
My friends.
Oh, that's true.
Actually, this is the first movie
true.
we watched together for the show, because usually we watch these independently and then we come talk about them. Mostly from me insisting that I don't want to talk about the movie until we're in the studio to discuss it. The temptation was there.
We come out of the Regal Cinemas, and I'm like, and Tan's like, no, stop, no, let's not talk about it. And I'm like, all right,
we are leaving in silence, complete silence. I think my rating is going to be 2 stars because I can't get past some of the things that we'll dive deeper into in the spoiler section. But I have to agree, as a theater going experience, there was something special to it. Maybe actually before we even get into spoilers, we can talk a little bit about the phenomenon of this movie, the fact that not since the rise of Gru has there been quite a memed theater-going experience. I mean, this is sort of just what the theater-going experience has become. Like when we had Barbenheimer a couple of years ago, the Taylor Swift concert movie and the Beyonce concert movie and things. It's sort of becoming a thing. The way to get younger people, younger generations to the theaters is making an event out of it and making the experience something different in a sociological, cultural way.
Memified, very easily memifiable.
Yeah. So with the Minecraft movie, there has been an element of audience interaction akin to maybe something like Rocky Horror or The Room or these other like famously so bad it's good sort of movies where everyone yells the lines at the movie screen. In this case, the most yelled out lines are ones from the previews and the trailers. Jack Black saying anything with like the extra gusto with which he says it, just saying the thing that's in the game, and people going nuts over it. There've been viral videos of people throwing their popcorn and drinks and taking off their shirts and throwing them around and
being removed from the theaters.
Police being called to the theater because of how rowdy it's getting. And so when Sean Baker was telling people to go back to the theaters, I'm not sure this is what he envisioned. I feel for the theaters on one hand, because I can't imagine what the cleanup is like after a showing of a Minecraft movie. But on the other hand, I'm happy that people are getting something out of the movie, and it's special for its own special way.
And maybe younger fans into the theater and making them realize that movie theaters can be a fun, interesting experience more so than streaming.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like they're going to take the theaters away because it's like getting kind of crazy.
True, very true. The
Um,
opposite effect.
For us, we went to it. All three of us went to the same showing. It was not a salt-packed theater. There was maybe 15 to 20 other people in there.
They made the most of it. They made the most of it.
It's a lot harder to get that full theater experience, like interaction, when there's like 2 or 3 guys at the back trying to do it.
That was the hardest that I've ever seen you laugh.
It was
Tannock, was something happens. Are we into
yeah.
spoiler
We
free?
can say what happens because it's not.
Okay. Jack Black says, I am
It's in the
Steve, in akin to like the Iron Man reveal, where he's like, I am Steve. And a couple guys in the back, like, were like, yeah. And Tannock's just squealing, like, to my right. Just like, it was so funny.
I didn't know until after we saw the movie that this was a thing, that like this was happening.
Yeah, I didn't know either. I feel like, because did we see it when it came out? Like that was the premiere?
Yeah, well,
I
the
feel
day
like
after. We saw it on the Saturday, so it came out on Friday night. Yeah, I knew the general vibe of this movie, that it was going to be some sort of cultural. It was going to have some sort of cultural impact just because of the way that the trailers had been made. It's sort of similar to the Sonic the Hedgehog when that first trailer launched or whatever. It's been memed. I knew that young people were going to go see it in an post-ironic way. But I wasn't expecting the level of interaction that I've been seeing on social media. I was cracking up. You're absolutely right, because it was the way that it wasn't that full of a theater, and the people who started applauding or whatever did it so sheepishly. Like the very first person to start clapping, it was almost like a slow clap or something to a movie, and then
like they were trying to get other people to join, and nobody was taking the bait.
And then seeing like parents sort of like not understanding what's going on but joining in anyway because they're just like looking around at everyone else doing it. That was so funny, dude. I don't know what to say. That was a highlight of going to the movies this year.
That was 1 star. I think that was part of 1 star.
Yeah,
at
that
least
gets
out
an
of your
extra star just for that.
Yeah.
And then the chicken jockey scene, which is also in the previews. Every line that people yell at the screen is from a preview or something, and it's been memed because of how absurd the way he's performing all of those lines in the previews, and so like people are yelling it back at the screen. That one actually did have like little kids in front of us knew to yell at that one. And that's another fun thing about going to like a family film like this, is seeing like little kids going to the movie for the first time or whatever. Like this is going to be a formational experience for some of for at least a couple of
us
them.
in our 20s just sitting there like yes, yeah, and kids are like like having a good time, and we're like critically analyzing.
I'm not sure about the plotting decision there.
I'm not sure about the logistics
the
of how this
mise en
would work
scène.
in game.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how this would work in game. Kids are just screaming chicken jockey.
Yeah.
Great experience.
Yeah, this is a movie that is absolutely operating on different levels, shall we say.
No pun intended.
To get into how that is, I think we have to dive a little bit into spoilers. So overall, you've got a spread of reviews for people watching, from 2 stars to 3.5. And I would say if you have a young one, it's a great movie to take them to, I think. And
or a mid-20s one.
Yeah,
you could take them too.
If you don't, and you'd rather watch this on demand without all of the bedlam that is occurring in theaters, that is also a totally reasonable response. But yeah, spoilers. Let's talk about what this movie is.
At its heart.
Julia, what's the plot of the Minecraft movie?
Oh, I wasn't really paying attention to that.
3 stars. Come on, Julia.
Guys, we weren't prepped for this. Jack Black plays Steve.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on what you're familiar with in terms of Minecraft. So when
That's
you
right.
play Minecraft, the main character that you're playing in is Steve. He gets dropped into a world.
That's right.
And then you basically break blocks to build blocks and craft different things. So we meet Jack Black as Steve, and he is, he's outside the mine shaft, and then he goes into Minecraft, and it becomes his like safe space that he learns a lot about.
It's sort of like the Jumanji plot.
Yes, which also stars Jack Black in the newest version. And then you meet the kid, and then it's like, oh, and then the pig lady. Tannock, you dig it. You tell people what the plot of the Minecraft movie is.
I've seen it like compared to like a Wizard of Oz or something. It's
Yeah.
one of those stories where there's a magical world that our characters are getting taken to, and they have to figure out how to get back home.
That was a good way to put it. That was like very simple.
Okay.
I mean, ultimately,
All right,
it is a pretty
'Cause
simple.
I would have not known how to explain it. I would have just went a whole hour,
Yeah.
hour long tangent on the whole movie.
Well, it's kind of tricky because it is, as a game, like, especially originally, I haven't played Minecraft in many, many years. I played when it was still in like 1.6 alpha or something.
Yeah,
and
me
when
neither.
I played,
I haven't played it recently at
Right,
all.
right.
Right.
Neither.
Minecraft itself doesn't really have a story. So right from the jump, like if you're making a movie adaptation of it, you can't adapt the plot of a Minecraft movie. You basically take some of the gameplay mechanics and some of the realities of the world of Minecraft. What are they called? The overworld? Is that what it's called in the game? And you basically just have to create a story around it. So they create a villain specifically for this movie that isn't in the games, to my knowledge. The Piglin Witch.
I've never fought the Piglin Witch
Yeah,
myself.
I don't think there's a
Yeah,
witch,
I don't think so. I forget her name.
to my knowledge.
Yeah, so it's in some ways I would say this is it's ripe grounds for an adaptation because you don't have any like boundaries that you're confined to. You can really tell whatever story you want in a Minecraft movie like this, which is maybe why it's a little disappointing that it's so predictable and the plot hits its beats that it has to, and we're on to it sort of operates like a ride. And a lot of family films do this. So this, if it's done well, then it's not really something to complain about. But yeah, it's like we go from one action set piece to the next, and there's a MacGuffin that we have to get for our heroes to go home. What I compare this to, if I was to do an unfavorable comparison and say, like, here's a version of this that did it a lot better, I think of like the Lego movie that came out a few years ago. Because I think that also has like, a hero's journey plot structure to it. But it's really built around what makes Lego unique, which is the creativity, the building and stuff. This has some really interesting callbacks to the game and lots of references in it. Chicken jockey being a rare mob or whatever. But I don't think it captures like the fun of creating and also the survival aspects of the gameplay. I don't know. What do you guys think as also Minecraft gamers?
Well, are we just talking about like how it took adapted?
Yeah,
the game?
like as a fan of the games, what did you think of how
I think it did a decent job. I am surprised they went the route of the Piglin Witch because one of the main like bosses in the game is the Ender Dragon. So I was a little strange that they wouldn't go that route. But I guess here's my like deep dive take on it. Because when you beat the Ender Dragon in Minecraft, the game is over, technically. Like
the world ends.
Yeah. And so and spoilers, like at the end of the movie, it's like they can go back into the Minecraft world. So maybe that was the point.
Leaving things open for a sequel, I think.
Yeah.
That, like you want to leave. This is the franchise studio exec like mindset. You want to leave enough on the table for the next time you have a go at it, right? So that's the cynical interpretation of why they don't use the Ender Dragon and they instead have the Piglin Witch, who I can't remember what her name is.
Yeah.
It's like Morgacia or Morgosh
Oh,
or something like
yeah.
that.
I do remember her
to
general was
Google it.
General Chungus,
Yeah.
Captain Chungus or whatever.
Yeah, the Great Hog. Can't forget about the Great Hog. So that guy was pretty cool.
Actually,
too.
that sort of transitions to the sense of humor of the film, which some of it is really. There's a reason that people are going to see this post-ironically. It's because there's some stuff that is just really, really corny. And how do you do, fellow kids? Sort of comedy
But
to it.
it is directed by Jared Hess, who also
Yes.
did Napoleon Dynamite and Nacho Libre. So you have, if you're familiar with those films, there's more of an expectation for what kind of humor you're going to be getting, because it also does have stuff in there that I probably laughed way too hard at. The stuff with Jennifer Coolidge and her like divorce, and that one guy, like one of the teachers, like finances. He's like, I
Yes.
can't even afford to buy like a house right now, or and then the thing happens, and he's like, I was never here, and he runs away.
Well, that was kind of my favorite part of the movie, and I was so on board with the beginning because it's exactly what you said. It's like you can tell that Napoleon Dynamite, Nacho Libre influence. I love Jermaine Clement's character, and like you can tell that they're just letting the characters riff or the actors riff, and it's all improvised comedy sort of thing. It's got some weird stuff, like the town has a potato chip factory and there's a mascot that they love. That like all of that is just weird offbeat stuff that is really, really good. And so anytime they're away from the Minecraft world was when I was having the best time personally.
I would agree with that, partially.
Yeah, and I think that's the best quality comedy stuff. Like you were sitting next to me. I was just like hysterically laughing at everything Jermaine Clement's character said.
That's just the New Zealand, like, you gotta support your fellow.
Yeah,
New
well,
Zealand
actually,
people.
and also this might play in. It's definitely some bias because I think that was shot. The whole thing was shot in New Zealand. Like I recognized the street that the main characters get a new apartment or house from. I think I know exactly where that is in Auckland. So
Because I looked up, again, Wikipedia is not a trusted source, but yeah, it was filmed in, I think you're right. But no, Jermaine was, I think every word that came out of his mouth, I was laughing very hard at. He just knows how to.
Yeah.
He just
And
knows
you're
how to
exactly right. Hess knows how to make like the right environment for certain kinds of actors to just thrive and just riff and be hilarious. So yeah, that was a highlight for me. What did we think? Sorry, to go back to what we were talking about with Minecraft stuff. What do we think about like general fan service stuff? Do you guys feel serviced as fans? Or
You want to go? Or?
No, please.
Okay.
Please take this-
inconsistencies where you're like,
yeah.
that doesn't happen in the game, for example? Or-
I think it did a pretty good job for fan service.
Yeah.
And I think that is my qualm, because I think the fan service overtook the plot of the movie, and it felt like they were just fitting as much nods to the game as they can. And then we kind of missed some character development, and just I just wish we got more, like, I don't know, it just felt like rushed at the end. Like,
Yeah, just
you know,
something.
the sister, their mom died, and then she has to take care of her brother, and then it just felt like there's like one point where they got in an argument, and then once they meet up again, it's like, oh, like, no problem, like,
yeah, right.
we love each other again, and
But
it
as
just
long as
it
they
felt
built a
rushed.
nether portal, everything's
Yeah.
fine.
My favorite, I will say there was one piece of fan service I really liked, which was the Technoblade reference.
Yes.
I don't know. Yeah. That's not a king, that's a legend. That was really good. For those who don't know, Technoblade was a content creator, a video YouTuber, who died of cancer last year, I think, or maybe the year before. No, last year, I think. But he super beloved. He really was a legend. It's sort of like a nice way to sort of nod to that, I think, in the movie.
I think also there were a couple times just talking about like logistics of what would happen in game. I think there was a time where I like leaned over to you and was like, that would never happen in game. That would never happen in game. When they shoot, the mobs are chasing them, and one of the skeletons lights like a fire arrow, and it trips all the mobs up, and they all like explode. I was like, that would never happen. that just doesn't make sense. And then I felt myself, I was like, all right, you're an adult. It's okay.
It's sort of it's very barefaced in its fan service too. I think I keep going on about this, so I might as well talk about Jack Black in this movie. Perhaps being the most Jack Black I've ever seen, just so animated in every scene. And I like Jack Black, but I found my patience getting tested with him, honestly.
Well, he would just be saying, like, it would be a regular sentence and words, and he would just be chewing the heck out of it. Like, he would be like, we're going to have to craft this today.
Yeah.
And he'd be like, yeah. And you're like, you didn't need to chew that.
And
but
any time, I mean, it's one thing to include something like a fan service element, but to draw attention to it where Jack Black has to hold it up and go, Flint and Steel, every time.
Very true. And sing a song about
it's like it really just feels like the movie yelling at you, like, "Don't you love this thing? This is the thing from the
Jack
thing."
Black. Isn't that cool? Yeah.
So I found it distracting. I liked Momoa in it. I didn't really feel like anyone else resonated in any way. Perhaps unfairly to the actors, they just didn't really have much of a story or character to work with. Jack Black had a lot to work with, but I think it was just so much.
Yeah.
I don't know. How did you guys feel? Did you find it funny or?
I felt like he was going a little, and again, I was a Jack Black kid. Like this movie combined all the nostalgia because I remember playing Minecraft and listening to like Tenacious D at the same time. So it was very like nostalgic. But like same thing, like Momoa, I thought was great. Physical comedy. But I also
screams.
His screams were. I felt so bad. Like I felt like I had to stifle my laugh sometimes because I was like, all right, I'm in between two coworkers, but he would be like, ah! And I'd be like, and I'd be like giggling. He was great. Physical comedy. And I feel like we got kind of the most backstory with him, or you sympathize with him the most.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he just did
exactly.
a great job with like the loser gamer that's aging out of his like prime or aging out of his era. Yeah. He did great.
Speaking of Tenacious D, at the beginning of this movie, when Jack Black first goes to the Minecraft world, I couldn't help but think of the Pick of Destiny sequence where he eats mushrooms and has like a whole hallucinatory experience. Yeah. I was like, this is the sequel to that I never knew I wanted. Yeah. Because it's played at like a montage and it's like very fun. I think I wanted to talk about Momoa because I think you're right. He gets the most character development out of anyone else. It felt like maybe there was an earlier version of the script that had the fact that he was a former professional gamer play into it a little bit more, where maybe he used his skills to some sort of effect, whereas I don't think he does in the movie. It's kind of like just a nod thing to video games, basically. At the very beginning, he talks like a pig, like it's a quest giver, which is a good gag.
But it's like, he play video game, this video game.
Yeah, exactly. I was waiting for the screenwriting, and maybe this is me just like over compartmentalizing the movie and like just enjoy it. It can just be a fun detail to his character. It doesn't have to come back around towards the end or something. But I was sort of waiting for the moment where the skill that he's had that he hasn't been able to use, or he's felt like a loser for so long, he gets his moment again where, you know, whatever gaming skill he had, or like beat him up sort of. I was expecting that to play somewhere in the final act.
Well, I mean,
it never came around.
I guess partially he gets like resurrected somehow. I mean, he explodes on that bridge and then he just comes back and is like, I got you, little bro, or like whatever. You're like, no, you died.
He does the Han Solo. I think he literally, doesn't he say the line like, let's blow this up and go home or something? It's literally Han Solo's line. No, I think it's the run-of-the-mill story, and it's the cynical nature of just a franchise movie that bumps it down to 2 stars for me. But I did have a lot of fun watching this, and I laughed, and I didn't cry. I was about to say I laughed and I cried. And
I saw you wipe a tear. He's lying. He's lying. He wiped a tear. The chicken jockey dropped, and he went, never thought I'd see it on the big screen.
I think what Marysa said, where it loses you towards the end, where it really has to do the action things. And it's hitting, it gets just into one action blurring into another towards the end. But yeah, I think I give it 2 stars. But we've given Opus, and I gave Opus and I gave Death of a Unicorn 2 stars. I think I like this more than both those movies.
That was my thing.
This more. Yeah, and that's why the 3, right?
Yeah, that's the 3 because I'm like, it's a weird thing.
Is there anything else I'm missing that you guys, any other thoughts you guys had before we move on to our next movie?
Do you?
2 things.
Okay, because I have some too.
Okay, pretty good. Mine are two. They're going to be very quick, just little things. I feel like we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about Mogorsha and the ties to colonialism. Some deep, allegorical ties. No, I'm
That
kidding.
went right over my head, yeah.
And my favorite part, like probably hands down, was the Jennifer Coolidge and Villager little
That's a
side
great
thing.
plot. Yeah.
Great, just loved that. It was just so, like, I knew immediately when he came out, I was like, they're gonna combine Jennifer Coolidge and this Villager, and it's gonna be hilarious. Okay.
Okay, mine is another qualm. I was a little bit influenced because I have seen people talk about it online. The way the women are treated in the movie, they're not given as much screen time as the men, as much as character development as any other
They don't
character
really
does.
have much effect on the plot in general, because they get split up. It's boys and girls get split up, and the girls, their quest or whatever is to meet up with the boys, and the boys get to do the actual mission to get the thing they're looking for.
Literally almost like they're like, let's break them off so the girls don't get as much screen time and don't have to do as much cool stuff as the guys. How do we do that? Just split them up.
They get one scene where they're walking through the woods and killing mobs or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good point.
And someone made like a comment that they only built that house in the movie, which is like kind of stereotypical, like women build in Minecraft, men fight in Minecraft. And the I can't remember her name, but she's in Orange is the New Black. I don't know her.
Daniel Brooks?
Is that her name?
The one that plays the one that
Daniel
had the,
Brooks.
Yeah, Daniel Brooks.
Her like character uses dogs to fight instead of actively fighting. And then at the end of the movie, the sister opens like a karate kind of like a fighting.
That's right.
But
the
she never really
self-defense class
fought
thing.
in the movie until like towards the end.
Well,
So-
like I said, there's that one scene where they're walking through the woods killing zombies.
But they're
or whatever,
lost. They don't know
talking.
where they are,
Yeah.
and they don't know
Yeah.
how to
Right.
get around.
Oh, and someone else also said like there was a moment where she was like trying to build a boat and then she couldn't build the boat, and it was just kind of like.
She just threw the wooden block
But
out.
when the men stepped in, they knew immediately how to like navigate this world, and I'm like, that is very interesting. And I think we didn't stay till the end of the movie. I don't know if this is true, but they said Alex, who's like the woman counterpart to Steve in Minecraft, was like at the end of the movie,
yeah.
at the end of the
So for those
credits
who don't
or
know-
something.
Yeah, for those not familiar with the game, there is a second character that is. There's Steve as like a central character, and I think if you, is it for player 2, or if someone logs in, their default skin is Alex, which is like a female character. Yeah, so she's absent in this film.
Until the post credit scene, because there's one credit scene with the villager and Jennifer Coolidge and her ex-husband. Then there's another credit scene which we didn't stay for, but that I saw on Twitter where Alex is there.
I see. So setting up for the sequel.
Yeah, I think there might be. I mean, I think it did well.
Yeah.
It's doing
Yes, this
good. I
movie
think
is-
they have enough money to
think
probably
so,
do
too.
a second one.
One last final thought before we move on, and we would be remiss if we didn't mention this. The pure sexual tension between Jack Black and Jason Momoa. My God.
Oh, I can't believe.
I can't believe you said, all right, if you're opening the door for me to talk about it, then let's walk in.
Open the doors, Julia.
Don't open the doors if you don't want me to walk in the room. I wanted those two men to kiss each other. I don't know what y'all want me to say.
It's throughout from a text point of like what the movie is telling us. It's a bromance. It's two who don't have friends becoming friends. But there are some scenes and some moments in this movie where it genuinely looks like they're about to make out.
When they do the flying thing, when they have to go through the hole, they're doing like the hole in the bridge.
That was genuinely like one of the greatest examples of like cinematic innuendo since the end of North by Northwest when a train went through a tunnel. I swear, these two guys.
this is all gonna be
Squishing themselves
We got
together
this
to
out.
go into a hole together.
That scene. Then there's a scene where he like
Wow.
grabs his face. Jason Momoa like grabs his beard and he's
Oh,
like,
yeah,
look
and
at
he's like,
me,
yeah.
like look at me, and I was like, literally, I just saw us all just like lean in, like what's gonna happen here? Oh, I was rooting for it so hard that they were just gonna live together in the Minecraft world, married, because love wins.
Yeah.
Because love wins.
I think really like one of the issues, and it talks to like the gender stuff that you're talking about. There are too many characters and not enough character development. It would be better to cut down to 2 or 3 people and really give them a story. Like maybe you just have Jack Black and Sebastian Hansen and Emma Myers, just those 3, and like we'd miss Jason Momoa unfortunately, but like if you had better development with the brother and sister characters, and she had something more to do and they had some sort of resolution between them. I mean, it's sort of there where she like comes to be more understanding of his creativity, but she was always kind of supportive. Like she didn't really have to learn that. It's unclear. There was an opportunity to flesh out the characters a bit more, whereas as it is, when you come away, you don't really remember the characters in any meaningful way, except for that tension that we're talking about with Jason Momoa and Jack Black. That could have just been the whole movie, honestly.
Agreed. Them trying to find their way back to each other somehow.
Right.
Look, I'm just throwing ideas out for the sequel.
Yep.
They get separated and they find their way back. You know,
Love
call
that.
me. Who did this? Universal Paramount. Who did
Jared
this?
Hess.
Huh?
Jared Hess.
Oh, Jared Hess. Yeah, just call me, Mr. Hess, if you want any ideas about how they can expand their romance. Just give me a call.
All right. That's the Minecraft movie. Go see it or don't. Let's talk about Super Mario Bros.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's start spoiler free first of all. Who wants to go first with their rating this time for the Super Mario Brothers movie?
Well, I went first, I think.
Yes,
so.
you did. Okay, I'll go first.
All right.
We're giving it another 3. We're looking at another
All right.
3 down the barrel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow,
Again, do I have
interesting.
logic to back it up? Absolutely not. Just going on feelings and vibes. And in terms of other movies that I've seen recently that I've given 2.5 stars, and I've been like, I definitely liked this more than that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a great movie by any means, but it has some redeeming qualities, at least in terms of if we're pairing it with the Minecraft movie.
Right.
Then I'm so sorry, but I'm
Okay.
going to give it a 3 stars.
All right, Marissa, what would you rate it?
Mine was a 2.
Okay.
And honestly, it wasn't a bad movie. I expected it to be worse.
Mhm.
So honestly, but I'm basing it on as a adaptation from the game. It's a 2.
Yes, it is
Also,
definitely.
Yeah. And I watched it on my phone too, and there were times where I'm like, I just want to be on my phone and like scroll, but I can't because I'm watching it on my phone. So yeah, it was like hard to follow for me.
I think if you're reviewing it from that lens, I think you're absolutely right. This is a terrible Mario adaptation.
100%.
But I actually really liked it, and
Oh no.
if I could give if I could give half stars, I would do 3.5.
Okay.
Because I can't. I'm gonna go 3. I'm gonna lean towards like Mickey 17 more than Black Bag, because I think it starts stronger than it finishes. But I will just say, it's a bad Mario movie. But this is sort of like a punk rock Terry Gilliam style movie for the first part. And we'll get into spoilers to really talk about like some of the production history and things and why the movie is the way it is. But I guess before or getting into spoilers, why don't we just say like some of the things we liked about the movie, and then we can talk about some of the things we don't like.
Well, okay, I'll say
Say
compared
something
to the
nice.
compared to the Minecraft movie, it had a plot, it followed it, it was easy to follow.
Mhm.
Compared to the Minecraft movie where the storyline just felt very fragmented and rushed and just I also think like the Minecraft movie is more geared towards like this newer generation where our attention spans are a lot shorter because it just was very fast paced, but the Super Mario Bros. Movie was like a lot slower with how it told the story. So
Yeah, and that's definitely just part of like the different generations and the fact this was made in 1993 when the pacing of movies was different. It's definitely something that's been speeding up over time. Julia?
I love the practical aspect of it, especially if like relating it to the Minecraft movie. So many movies like that, they're all of the stuff they're on a green screen, the stuff that they're reacting to, they just have to place so much blind faith in the idea that it's going to look good when it comes out.
Yeah.
But what I really loved about this is what you see is what they're seeing in this world that they're interacting with, and it's just like fun. Like the Goombas are hilarious. Dennis Hopper's insane. Like I feel like the cast fits very well. Also, I love the whole like fascism. It's like against fascism. As soon as he makes the henchmen smarter, like he evolves them, they're like oppressor. They're like oppressor of the proletariat. They're like fascist, oppressor of the proletariat, and Dennis Hopper's like guy in charge.
Yeah.
Like I love that whole thing.
Yeah. I guess since we gave like a brief plot summary of Minecraft movie, I'll do the same thing. Sort of the same plot. I was surprised to find it's people going to another world and trying to get back home again. This time, and this is where it's really off the rails and questionable how this is even an adaptation. It's about dinosaurs. The movie starts 65 billion years ago, whatever it is.
In Brooklyn.
With the dinosaurs being hit by an asteroid that somehow sends them to another dimension. And then they evolve into basically like humanoid creatures to the point that they look just like humans over the course of their 65 billion years or whatever. And King Koopa, played by Dennis Hopper, is sort of a dictator, authoritarian sort of ruler who owns the city of Dinosaur Manhattan. And he is plotting to combine the worlds again so that he can take over both.
I feel like Dennis Hopper, and that's normal and cool. I feel like Dennis Hopper is the perfect person for this type of role because he's so believably like lascivious and like the most lecherous man that you've ever seen on screen, and also a lizard. And you're also like, and of course he's also like a lizard for sure.
Yeah, they didn't apply any prosthetics to him in any of those lizard scenes. That was just him taking his makeup off.
Yes.
Dennis Hopper is the closest thing a celebrity actor has ever been to reptilian, I think. So
Yes.
He's great and he hams it up. I think all of the performances are pretty great. Bob Hoskins has some really good lines of dialogue actually that made me laugh. Like there's one line. I tried to like find a list of them, but IMDb doesn't keep track of all of his good ones. They have all these like lame plot related ones. I loved when when Luigi's like says something to the effect of "There were dinosaurs in Brooklyn," and then Mario's like, "Hey, the Dodgers used to be here too," or something.
Yeah, and it's like
He's got so many lines like that where it's just.
I loved he doesn't realize that I forget what the name of his partner, like that also gets kidnapped before they kidnap Daisy. She gets kidnapped and the girl's like, "You don't know?" And he's like, "I was supposed to take her to wrestling tonight." Or like he's so thinking about, they're literally fighting like the lizard creatures and he's like, "I was supposed to take her to wrestling." And I'm like, I love this guy. Bob Hoskins is just great.
Yeah.
I love John Leguizamo too.
I really liked the comedy of it because it is like very funny, very sincere. It feels like it's on the verge of parody or something, or like fast, because it is just so silly in so many ways. But I don't know, it worked for me. I think like the characters were really well done. I remember the characters more than I remember the characters in a Minecraft movie. And I think that's sort of what you were talking about when you're saying, because if you look at it at a plot structure aspect, it plays out very much the same way the Minecraft movie is, where they get action set piece after action set piece. They have to rescue someone, and then they have to find a way back home and get the MacGuffin. It's similar to a Minecraft movie in that sense, but it feels more fleshed out because the characters are quite well done. I really liked Bob Hoskins and John
Leguizamo.
Oh, you can pronounce it. Thank you, because I could not.
Oh yeah, John Leguizamo's my guy.
Saved by Julia once again.
He's also Italian. So.
Yeah, no, I really like the characters of this movie. It's sort of got a weird it's very weird and very strange. The whole movie plays off of like comic book sorts of logic. And I love, and this is what you were getting to, the effects and set design of the movie, not only in comparison to something like the Minecraft movie, which is, you know, everyone's in front of a green screen. And even though I will say to the Minecraft movies credit, there was more practical stuff in there than I thought. Like we're supposed to be talking about another movie here, but really quickly, the effect of the Piglin witch character, like her hump was like clearly a physical thing. Like they had some sort of puppet and then just animated her face or something, and that was a cool effect. And a lot of the props are practical and things. But this has some pretty cutting edge for the time CGI and VFX stuff.
The
but
dinosaur was awesome. The little baby dinosaur I
dude,
loved.
So
Dinosaur.
the Yoshi, right? The Yoshi puppet. This came out. I had to look this up because I was like, that looks so much like the, you know, raptors in Jurassic Park or whatever. This came out before Jurassic Park. This came out in May. Jurassic Park came out in June.
Whoa.
They like beat Spielberg to practical dinosaur effects.
That's so funny.
That like a similarly, I mean, they sort of go for like a cuter, cartoonier version of, like, it doesn't look like, there's no dinosaur that looked exactly like the Yoshi one does. It's got big cute eyes and things. But yeah, like the texture of the skin and the movements of the puppetry and stuff is really convincing. It's pretty impressive.
I wanted one. I wanted to take home a little baby dinosaur, little Yoshi.
Yeah,
No, he was
steals your
cute.
heart by the end. Like
He's
Yoshi's a great, cute little pet. But yeah, and the moment for me where this like really sold me, and I was like, this is a 4-star movie. Like early on, I was like, this is actually like I'm 100% in. When they first like travel to the dinosaur world and they're in dinosaur Manhattan, Dino Hatton, if you will.
In certain circles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That set like actually blew me away. The verticality of it, the fact that it has so many levels and stuff, so much detail like in the backgrounds of the frame from like various different characters and what they're doing and things like that stuff. Like I was like, this is really impressive. I think the production designer also worked on like Blade Runner and some other things. So like, yeah, I think this might be like some of the best production quality effects I've seen from a movie in this era. It's really, really cool and really creative. There's so much creativity throughout the movie, I think. Like you were mentioning, the Goombas, like
I love them.
such a weird effect to have these tiny little heads over these giant bodies.
Well, because when they're first introduced, when you first see the Goomba come out of the shadow, you're like, this is a bad guy.
Yeah.
And then you figure out, no, they're just dumb little goons.
Yeah.
They're just dumb little henchmen dudes. And then when they're dancing, I love the little dancing
Yeah,
scene.
the dancing.
So great.
Yeah, it's a very strange movie, but all of that stuff was working for me. The part where it maybe doesn't work so much. And I also didn't mention the police station. That's got like a great weird like bedlam, like just that whole set, and like the guy who's riding them up has like a woman's high heel boot on his like shoulder, and they're put in like these tiny cages that is like this huge elaborate
Mickey 17 when they're putting those huge cages. It's,
that's exactly right. I mean, this is on a similar level to Mickey 17. This and the same thing I said I liked about that movie that Bong Joon-ho does is just a lot of creativity and a lot of detail to like the world building of the film. But similarly to Mickey 17, this feels like it was butchered in the edit or in the script or something that just doesn't make it quite cohesive, and it gets really messy towards the end, where each action set piece is going to the next one. They're all impressive and cool looking, but like it loses me. I watched this pretty late, like last night, right before bed, because I realized that I had left it too late and we were going to be talking about the movie today, and it was one of those situations where like I had to keep rewinding to certain parts because I was like, is there just a massive continuity error here? And there would be things where like the continuity made sense, but it was only in like the background of a shot or something where like, how did Luigi and Daisy and King Koopa get from the top of the tower to the bottom before Mario slides down on the mattress thing and bumps into them. There's so many different things where it's moving quickly and they're axing scenes that probably connected things slightly better. That's the feel I get from it. In the same way that the thing I said about Mickey 17.
Hey, that's just Dino Hadden rules, baby. Am I right?
I love that we can do that. We have a guest for once.
You're right. I'm not just high-fiving air. This is awesome.
Yeah, I think definitely to Marissa's point, though, this what you said at the very beginning, this has like nothing to do with the games. Like,
oh no, not at all. There's a couple little.
Yeah,
it does not surprise
like
me.
Towards the end, they were like, "Oh yeah, this is a Mario movie. Let me put in a bomb and call it a day."
And they're in the costumes, kind of.
Yeah,
It feels like such an afterthought, and I'm completely understanding to why like people hated this movie when it came out. Like people who are fans of the games. And I think it would be almost a better movie if it just didn't have any Mario reference to it, and it was just not a Mario movie. That was just about people who journeyed to an alternate universe where dinosaurs evolved to humans or whatever. That would
just
like
done that.
Yeah. Honestly.
It didn't have to make it a Mario movie at all.
Did you guys look up anything or do any research about the production stuff behind the scenes of this movie?
I didn't.
Because I was curious. Like I said, I put my tinfoil hat on. I was like, this was butchered in the edit, blah, blah, blah. Exactly
what they really
like I
wanted
did.
when they came out of the studio.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's always a moment where Tannock gives a theory that's completely unbased in like fact or logic, and it's what
Just
he
vibes.
what he thinks happened to the movie.
Exactly what I did for Mickey 17, but this time, because it's an old movie, this has been like recorded and people have been interviewed after the fact, and there is actually a long history of this movie. If you go to the Wikipedia page of this movie, it's like really long. I haven't seen a movie like on Wikipedia before that has this many categories and this like deep dive into the production. The original person who bought the rights to Super Mario Brothers and wanted to make a movie about it was Dustin Hoffman. And he wanted the director, I can't remember the director's name, the director of Rain Man.
Master Shifu in
Kung Fu Panda.
Yeah, Kung Fu Panda. The guy who voices Master Shifu in Kung Fu Panda. I was trying to put Dustin Hoffman
into context.
Into context for
Yeah, you might have to explain what people have done because
I will.
I don't know people like
I'll go. Master Shifu in Kung Fu Panda.
I don't know directors and stuff like that.
Yeah, and he wanted to make it with the director of Rain Man, and he wanted it to be a similar story to Rain Man, where where Mario and Luigi were like brothers, but like I don't know to what extent he wanted to make it similar to Rain Man, but he wanted to make it a drama, like a family drama.
Okay.
Interesting.
Based on the Mario video game.
And one of them's on the Spectrum?
That's what I was wondering. I was like, where did you see these two properties connecting? Completely bizarre.
Tom Cruise signs on. He's like, I guess I'll be Mario.
It's important to also note that like this movie came out in '93. The last Mario movie that had been made before this was the Mario game was Super Mario World, I think. And that's the first one to feature Yoshi. So it's the first one to feature like dinosaur stuff. So I think that's why they really like clamped on that concept and made the whole movie around it, because maybe they were assuming that the franchise from now on was going to be more dinosaur focused as opposed to the first few. Yeah, but this came out before like Mario 64 and things, like the first 3D Mario. Famously, everyone who worked on this movie has complained that they hated making this movie. Every single one of the actors that I could find, Hoskins, Harper, Leguizamo, have complained that the directors, who were husband and wife duo, their names are Annabelle Jankel and Rocky Morton, they apparently were like massive perfectionists, but also didn't communicate with each other what they wanted.
Awesome.
So people were getting mixed messages on direction stuff. The original script that everyone had agreed on and like agreed to sign on to do the movie with was originally a much more adult movie, and that's why all the pre-production, all the sets had been built to be a more adult sort of movie. And then right towards like the start of production, producers got cold feet and said they wanted to make it more family friendly. And so they had a bunch of rewrites to the script. And so that's why there's this weird, you can feel it when you're watching the movie. It's like a disconnect between, this feels like a gritty, realistic Mario movie, but it's also incredibly silly and kind of like dumb.
Yeah. Yeah.
So apparently they had the directors themselves were like rewriting the script every day. It's the Apocalypse Now situation where like they're writing a page for the scene that they're doing that day.
One of the directors just comes out of the mud of the fungus, comes out of the fungus with like black eye goo. That would be great.
So the movie, when I was watching it, I could tell it was a little bit of a mess. When I read all of this stuff after the fact, I'm like, oh, that explains so much why it felt the way it feels, and why like some things really don't work. Apparently, people got serious. Like a lot of people got injured on this movie as well.
I believe that.
Bob Hoskins broke a finger. Like Leguizamo like slammed a van door on his finger and broke it. So for the rest of the movie, he had a cast on it that they painted pink. I didn't notice this, so I want to go back and watch. But
Do you want to go back?
apparently, it's noticeable that you can see he's got a cast on his finger. He also was apparently stabbed 4 times, electrocuted, and nearly drowned.
For the Super Mario
This is just
Bros.
Hoskins
movie?
that we're talking about, too.
At what part? I mean, they do have that part where the lady gets electrocuted.
Yeah. Fiona Shaw's character.
Extras had coffee poured on them. Actresses nearly died in that final mattress stunt where they like fly into the city set.
Yeah.
Because apparently like it was on wires or whatever, and apparently there was some sort of safety thing where they didn't like calculate the speed correctly or whatever, and they almost flew off the mattress and like onto the set below.
Oh my god.
This is why they have to do like a Johnny Knoxville Steve-O come in and test all the things out before people do it.
Right. Like
sure
Hoskins for that one, thankfully, his stunt double was up there, so he wasn't on there. But the actresses themselves were doing that stunt, most of them.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe Daisy wasn't in that scene. So, yeah, it's you can tell there's a lot of scenes that have a lot of ADR. Like you might have noticed where a shot is far away or whatever, and someone's talking when their mouth isn't moving. There's a lot of that in the movie as well. There's a whole list. I have some of these deleted scenes. There was an extended sequence of King Koopa chasing Daisy's mother at the beginning. We didn't even talk about how this movie, like, it starts with an animated sequence with the dinosaurs, and then it cuts to a woman dropping off an
Abandoning
egg
her,
at a church doorstep, and Dennis Hopper playing King Koopa is dressed up as a general for some reason. That's not explained because the scene was cut down severely or whatever, and we don't really know what was supposed to happen there. There was supposed to be a lot more stuff with Scapelli, the Scapelli brothers, the rivals to Mario and Luigi. A lot more stuff developing Luigi and Daisy's romance, which actually I thought was handled pretty well. So maybe those scenes could have been cut and it wouldn't have been a big deal. But this is sort of where the continuity and the messiness of the movie comes from, I think. Really, really interesting stuff. I'm trying to think. Is there anything else? There's a Lance Henriksen cameo right at the end where he plays a fungus. he has one line in the movie or something.
He looks at it, he's like, that was tough. Or like it's literally one of those things where he's
I'm
like,
back.
I'm back, I'm back. And you're like, okay.
He's credited, his character is called King Bowser. And so I think the movie sets up a sequel, which we also haven't mentioned, like Back to the Future style. Daisy shows up at the door and is like, we got to go back to Dino Manhattan. So maybe they were setting up Lance Henriksen to be the villain in the next one, or...
Maybe. But I thought that was Daisy's dad, so what does that mean?
I know.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Why does she have like grenades strapped to her? Like she's ready to go to like serious like commando war stuff. It's
serious, guys. It's in production. I've heard about Super Mario Brothers 2.
This is a wild movie. Like I can't communicate enough. When they first arrive at the city, there's like a grandma that like asks them like, "Oh, are you guys new in town? Like, do you have
any weapons?
You don't have any weapons?" And they're like, "No." And she's like, "Good." And then like tries to mug them.
She's like, yeah. Oh.
And then Big Bertha appears and like jetpacks out of the scene with the crystal. this movie.
I love Hoskins being like, nobody can refuse Mario, and she punches him, and he's like, she's just shy, and then he gets up and walks back over to her.
Yeah, and
that
it
was
works.
great.
Yeah,
It works.
wild.
That makes sense now that you say that, because when I was watching it, I didn't understand how this was marketed. Well, I wasn't there. I wasn't born yet.
Right. None of us were.
1993. Because they have like a club scene, and then you talked about like when they're in the police station and the leg is there, and I was like, how is this a kids movie? Like kids play this game, but and then there was kind of a scene with King Koopa and Daisy that was very like not
Yeah.
Every girl's first kiss is with a lizard.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
I was like,
no.
I was like, that's Dennis Hopper.
like, just very
To a T.
uncomfortable,
Yeah.
and it's like, this is not for kids.
Yeah, so wild movie. I wanted to give it like a high 3-star just because of how audacious it is and how fascinating of an artifact it is. Yeah, at the end of the day, I don't know if I can recommend people watch it. I guess I do. You know what? I'll stand by it. I think people should see it, and maybe it's deserving of a reappraisal of sorts. But yeah,
I think I would recommend that people watch this because it's just fun. And if you want to
Yeah.
see some cool practical like effects and practical sets,
yeah,
it's just kind of fun. Like
Yeah.
it's not a great movie, but it's fun to watch.
Yeah.
yeah.
It wasn't
it's-
like totally unwatchable.
No.
No. It's got a passable plot and story, some good characters, and just creativity out like crazy.
Yeah.
Out the wazoo. It's
It's awkward, but it's got heart. And Fiona Shaw serving at every turn, at every corner in a new beautiful dress. Fiona Shaw was gorgeous
yes.
in this movie.
Yeah, she was great.
Stunning.
People will probably know her as Harry Potter's aunt in
Oh,
the Harry
yeah.
Potter
Oh my
movies.
gosh, yeah.
She's probably most famous as that.
True. She should be famous for that.
Yeah, and it's some of the CGI really doesn't hold up and looks pretty bad
When they go through
now.
the wall or any
Yeah.
time when they approach going to the
Yeah.
other dimension.
I forgot to mention the car chase that was in there. The
Oh my God.
pyrotechnics in this as well. Like, for some reason, there's always a flamethrower. There's always sparks flying everywhere. I did find a really cool explanation for why all the cars like shooting out sparks and things. It's because there's no fossil fuels in this alternate universe. So all the cars run on like mechanical
funny.
stuff. It's such like a weird thing that you don't even think about, but the people who worked on this, I think like the crew and the people behind the scenes really put a lot of like thought and effort into it, and that shows, I think.
Do you think the directors were in marriage counseling being like, the Goombas should have tiny heads?
Yeah.
And I was like, no, you idiot. Want to see those marriage counseling sessions.
I did want to end on a quote from Shigeru Miyamoto that I found, who, for those who don't know, is the creator of Mario. He made the first Mario. He's been the director on most of the Mario games, even still to this day. He had a comment because Nintendo did something pretty different. It shows how small of a property video games were at the time, like even in '93, that they gave the smaller production company, not like teeny tiny, but like I didn't recognize the name of the production company when I saw it at the beginning of this film. They gave the filmmakers like complete freedom. Like they had no say on any script or anything. They were just like, "Yep, you have the rights to this movie. We get the rights for merchandise, or whatever the deal was. But basically, you have full creative freedom." And Nintendo was more or less happy with the final product. I mean, they weren't happy when they saw that people didn't like it, but they had no issue with this being its own thing and not being faithful at all to their game. So there's this really great quote, and I think it's still like, it could be applied to the Minecraft movie as well. It could apply to many video game movies. He said, "In the end, it was a very fun project that they put a lot of effort into. The one thing that I still have some regrets about is that the movie may have tried to get a little too close to what the Mario Bros. Video games were. And in that sense, it became a movie that was about a video game rather than being an entertaining movie in and of itself." Which is crazy because this is not faithful in the same way that like the Minecraft movie or the Sonic movie or even the Super Mario Brothers movie from a couple years ago, the animated one. It's fascinating that he saw this movie and was like, he appreciated the creativity and stuff and wanted it to stand on its own two legs. In the same way that I think we were saying before, where maybe it would have been a better movie if it just had no reference to Mario, or it was, wasn't beholden to that property in the same way. It's just a creative story with creative people behind it. And yeah, a very, very special, weird movie that is imperfect in many, many ways.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah. So that is it. That's our first double feature episode of Real Talk.
And our first guest.
Yes, thank you so much, Marysa, for joining us. And I thought you were just going to come on and review a Minecraft movie, and you actually sat down and watched Super Mario Bros.
Homework,
You did your homework, so I appreciate you for that. Yeah, Julia, is there anything else you want to say before we sign off?
No, just so happy to have you, and thank you for being
Thank
here.
you for having me.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, let's go play some video games.
Craft attack.
Oh,
All right.
All right, end it.
Okay, all right. Have a good one, folks.